Michael Oher. It was a 2009 film, The Blind Side. Big movie, made a good amount of money. It grossed over $300 million.
Yeah.
It gave Sandra Bullock an Oscar for her role as Oil's mother. Um, and the story, if you guys already you're familiar with it, um, this is some kind of well-to-do family.
Yeah.
They bring this big dumb black guy that's in a he's in a bad space. He's young, he's lost, he doesn't know what's going on. You don't know what 2+2 is. They bring him into the family, but they realize he has a special talent for blocking defensive ends. And so they bring him to home, whatever. He turns out very well, and obviously in real life he had a great career. Well, I want to say a solid career.
Yeah, no,
Made
he
millions of
had a solid
dollars.
career. Yeah.
Yeah, and played for the NFL. Now, I knew for years, every once in a while you go on YouTube, not YouTube, but you go on like your websites and they'll always have like these articles pop out at you. And it always will talk about how Michael Oher did not like this movie.
Mm.
And they basically said for those articles, he did not appreciate how he was portrayed. I think he thought he was being portrayed as being stupid.
Yeah.
He didn't have a lot for himself. And I guess some of the tropes of being the white savior, he didn't appreciate that, right? But obviously the family did help him enough to get him to where he was. But I remember that for years. But these new allegations are actually crazy.
Yeah.
Which basically what he's saying that these adoptive well, first of all, he is alleging that the adoption was a lie.
Yeah.
And this family, the Toohey, I think how you pronounce it.
Toohey, yeah, something, yeah.
The Toohey family took all of the proceeds from the film. He did not sign, I guess, the adoptions papers. He signed a conservatorship.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys don't know what a conservatorship is, it's the thing that Britney Spears had for I don't know 10 years, which rightfully so. She's nuts. But he thought they were adopting him. No, it was just to give up his rights, the film, his likeness, and they collected all because the Tooley family had two kids, and then they brought Michael in. All four of them. So the mom, the dad, the boy, and the girl. This family, all got money from that movie, and Michael didn't get not 1 cent. That is crazy. Like it's and also the funny thing is about the Tooley family, they're well-to-do. They're not poor. They always had money. I mean, if this allegations are true, how can someone be so goddamn selfish that they would do that to him? It just and apparently Michael didn't understand any of this until he retired in 2016.
Yeah.
I don't know. I read it's so effed up. 18 years old. My wife kind of said, well, he was 18.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, but still, man, like you could fool an 18-year-old. They're still a kid. I know legally they're an adult, but you can, especially if you brought him into your home. He had a bad life, obviously.
Yes.
And to do that to him, oh man, it's terrible, man.
Yeah, I mentioned this to somebody today that we were going to talk. My girl was like, "What are y'all talking about tonight?" I was like, "Yeah, we're talking about this, that." And she was like, "Yeah, I remember that movie. Like, why didn't he say something? Why is he just saying something now?" That was her first response, which I think is common for people. Like when people say something and it's been 15 years or whatever, right? It's like, why now? Why now? It's like, I don't know. Maybe, he wasn't aware. I have no idea. Based on the movie, I feel like they knew he was good at football and they wanted him to go to a college, and they wanted to help him. But they were also like pushing him to go to Ole Miss because that was their what do you call it? The place they went to, alma mater.
They've been
alumni.
They've been there. Yeah.
Yes. So that was kind of like they talked about that in the movie, right? So
yeah,
and it did paint him out to be kind of like slow a little bit, like not, but not to his own fault. Like he had like 11 or 12 siblings, didn't grow up in a great environment. His parents weren't supportive and around. So I think this family obviously helped him get to the NFL. I feel like if they didn't step in, he's probably not in the NFL. So I give them credit for that. But if these things are true, and he thought he was being adopted, but he really wasn't, and they took advantage of the situation, and they all got paid, the two of them plus their kids, and he's saying he didn't get any money off the movie at all.
Yep.
That's fucked up. There's no other way. If that is completely taking advantage of the situations, and it's almost like they're looking at them as a meal ticket, and they don't need a meal, right?
Yes.
Like, because they're eating okay. So that's
apparently they own a bunch of franchises, like a bunch.
And they
of
talk about that in the movie. They talk about that.
Yeah.
I think it's Taco Bell or KFC
Taco
or
Bells. Yeah, they got
like part of the Yum organization, and they own them. The father does, or whatever the family does. So it's just weird. And that movie was a really big success. I think over 300 million it grossed. Something I saw today, the kids had a 2.5% stake in the earnings of that movie, which at this point is worth millions of dollars. And the family got like $500K or something, and he got nothing. And that's his story. But because they had rights over, I guess, him in some way, right? That they were able to do that is God, it's fucked up. It's just not right.
Yeah. So he's basically saying his adoption was never legal.
Yeah.
I mean, for that kind of accusation, and hopefully, if it's true that he has the right representation to kind of figure it out. Now, the adoptive, I guess at this point, quote unquote, adoptive mother, Lee Ann Toohey, responded to allegations stating that they were false, and the family has always supported Michael. She expressed her love for him and said the family is hurt by these accusations. Problem is, and I know, like what your girl said, why he's waiting. He's been saying he does not like the portrayal of this movie for years. Like not like a.
Well, why say something now, right?
Yeah.
Why not say something before? Because he goes to Ole Miss. He gets drafted by the Ravens. He goes to the Panthers. Like, he becomes a man. He has his own money, lawyers. He has means to figure. Why say something now? That's the only thing that makes me like scratch my head a little bit, because clearly now he went to Ole Miss. He has education. And
the thing, he's not stupid. Apparently, this dude wrote a few books. So I think that probably pissed him off. Like, why am I in this movie? Seems so fucking dumb. Like, I obviously had some level of brain power. I mean, I don't think he just learned how to read and write books just as soon as you go to the NFL. First of all, NFL, you putting in your 10,000 hours on your craft of being in NFL. So he must have had some level of brain power to be able to communicate.
Football players are not stupid. I think that's kind of the old saying, oh, football players are dummies. No. If you're an offensive lineman, a quarterback, you are smart.
Because you have to. You there's too many things to understand and calculate when it, in the research and planning to the games, also preparing your body. So it can't, a dumb person couldn't do this. The only thing I can think of why it took so long for him to realize this is because he was, he's in NFL. He's making millions of dollars. He's probably not checking out the finances. He's probably not thinking what happened to that movie, how much money, his mindset probably wasn't even in there. But he said he discovered this when you're retired, you have a lot of free time. And he probably started looking at some, your finances or checking the books and certain things. And you're saying, well, that movie was pretty successful. What's going on here? And then they turn around like your lawyers, and now you realize, oh no, at 18, when you probably didn't have any of the information you have now, you just sold everything you signed up everything for this family, and they're not giving you a dime.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. I think that's where he's like, wait, what? The F? This is crazy. So I understand, and what you're saying,
that's wild.
Why they brought him in. Yeah, some people think it was about they wanted to play for their school, the school they went to. He was a special talent. I'm assuming, especially he's in college somewhere, he's probably destroying everybody. Like, no one could probably get past him. So he was amazing. It helps their program. They look like the saviors. They're like the people who brought him in. And maybe there was some level of that.
Well, that's how the movie painted it. They got him when he was in high school. And he was really green, but he was just big, and like you want that as an offensive lineman. But then they got him to Ole Miss, and everybody was recruiting him. In the movie, they have like Nick Saban from LSU at the time, and coaches from Tennessee and all the SEC schools. But he chooses Ole Miss, which at that point was just not a flashy school, right?
Right.
But it's where they wanted him to go. So it's almost like, I hate to use words, like they manipulated him to get to where they wanted to go. And that's fucked up. I mean, if that's the case, it's not okay.
I think in the ESPN article, he mentions that this situation may have affected his, I guess, prospects in the NFL. He thought, or at least he's alleging that some of the coaches probably looked at him, view him a certain way because they've watched the movie and was like, oh, this guy a bit of a dum dum. And may have, he said there's some leadership roles, maybe there's some certain things that may not have been afforded to him because of, I guess, the narrative, the image of him being the dumb jock that got rescued by this family.
Yeah.
I mean, you would hope that didn't happen once you're in the NFL and you're doing well and you're able to communicate that wouldn't necessarily be like, well, whatever, that happened in the past. It was a movie. I'm talking to this guy now. He's pretty smart. So I hope that wasn't it, but that's what he's saying. He's saying like, I may have potentially lost opportunities in NFL.
Yeah, that's where I, without being in his situation and in those rooms or whatever, that's where I think he's a little lost, because I think if you're good, you're going to get signed. So it doesn't matter what a movie portrays you. If you're on the field and they see you can block, it does. The movie's irrelevant, right?
But he showed. I mean, he's been.
Absolutely. So he played long enough. But so I don't know about that necessarily. I think these billion-dollar entities that are NFL franchises do their homework, and that might mean watching a movie, but it also means watching film tape, and they're going to go off the film tape more than the movie. So that's where that doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah.
But I think he's just maybe. I think you bring up a good point about the movie, the finances. He thought he was adopted, and as a kid, when you don't come from a lot, and you're like, "Hey, we're going to adopt you, live with us. We're going to take care of you. We're going to get you to college. We're going to do these things, and we're going to, we want to see you succeed." That sounds good as a kid, right? And if that wasn't the real case, then this family has some explaining to do. So
yeah. So right here, I know Bobby said, at what age did this conservative end? So he didn't. So according to, I'm checking out the ESPN article. They said, "quote: The lie of Mike's adoption was upon which a co-conservative, Lee Ann Toohey and Sean Toohey, has enriched themselves at the expense of their ward, the undersigned Michael Oher." The legal filing says, "quote: Michael Oher discovered this lie to his chagrin and embarrassment in February of 2023 when he learned that the conservatorship to which he consented on the basis that doing so would make him a member of the Toohey family.
Oh, man.
In fact, provided him with no familiar or family relationship with the Tooheys." So it must have ended, and he was like, or at least got to that point where he realized something happened, and he did not really know that. So the petition further alleged that Tooheys used their power of conservatives to strike a deal that paid him and their two birth children millions of dollars in royalties from the Oscar winning film that earned over $300 million. So
yeah, because the film came out, and I believe, I could be wrong, when the film came out, he was already in the NFL. He had already been drafted, right? Yeah. So So because you see pictures of him, and he talks about them in other interviews very kindly, and he's, he was at maybe his draft night, and you see pictures of him in certain NFL uniforms. So the relationship continued to happen as he was in the NFL. So I think you bring up a good point, and based on what we're reading here, he found out this recently, this year, February 2023. Yeah. So that's just fucked up.
Yeah,
if that's the case, come on, it's not okay. Yeah,
they gotta pay him. I hope that they settle or something. Don't try to drag this out. Realize that you thought this kid was stupid, and he's a grown man now, and he's not dumb. So figure this out. And well, it's like my phone is acting stupid. But figure this out. Pay the guy his money, because that's just effed up. It doesn't make any sense. Again, if these alleged things are allegedly true. Also, they're saying that using this promoted their foundation. Lee and Toohey work as an author and a motivational speaker. Like, look, I help this black boy out. Listen to me. Like, oh yeah, I guess you must be interesting. Like, whatever. Like, you had the resources to take in many kids. Like, okay, you took the one that potentially launched
the one that was an athlete.
Career.
The one that was an athlete, right?
The guy could move mountains and shit. Like, I guess. I mean, again, like you said, if they didn't come in, is it possible he could have still play football? I mean, when you're that big, people will
maybe
say,
not though. Maybe not. Yeah, probably not.
yeah. All right. So Bobby has a really interesting plot twist. I'm gonna post it up. Pedro, I want you to throw your thoughts on this one. Actually, Pedro, you can read it, and then
I'll read it. I'll read it because Bobby's always every week, guys.
Bobby needs to come in and
Bobby
talk the show,
drops these little gems, and we really appreciate them because I think they come from a place of humor, but he might not be wrong. Listen,
he may not be.
Plot twist: husband was a cuck who used the young buck as a bull for his wife. It's a strong statement, Bobby. Listen, I would disagree with that without having more information. If you got some video or something.
Whoa. You want to see some video of that?
I don't, but you got to have some proof. So, listen, this is interesting. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I say this because I remember in high school, there was a kid played football and wrestling. Won't mention his name. Possibly might have had. I didn't know him well. I knew him well enough. Might have had maybe a similar upbringing as Michael Oher.
Right.
And a family took him in. Now, I don't know if they adopted him. But I know that he was living with a family that wasn't his family. And he was a really good athlete, right?
Gotcha.
So I mentioned that because my question is this. Do you think there are some people that, well, clearly we can probably both agree. There are some people that do that because they just are loving people.
Right.
And they see somebody, they see a child and they see a situation and they want them to succeed and they're good in sports or they really like sports or whatever, academics or don't play sports at all. They just want to give them a little push and help them out. They don't want to see them go down the wrong track. And I think there are a lot more cases of that than there are this, right?
You would hope so. Yes.
I would hope so. And I would think so, but maybe I'm being optimistic.
Yeah.
But do you think this situation is them being selfish and saying, oh, damn, look at him. Well, how could we utilize that to go to our alumni, go to our university? Do you think that they took advantage of him? That's my question to you.
I think in their heads, they don't think they took advantage of him. They probably think we came in and saved them. He's a multimillionaire. I think he's worth $20 million. He signed at least one or two multi-million-dollar contracts.
So real quick, like Dark Man Jeff is saying in the comments, the white savior complex, which is a thing.
Some people have. I mean, that's what the accusation of the movie was. That's why I think he's upset that. Why they make him so dumb? But movies are movies. They craft it in a certain way to. Yes, they'll say it's based on a true story, not following every aspect. Because
and listen, I got to say this: it was not a bad movie. It was a pretty good movie. I've watched it. It's not a bad movie.
Yeah, I never heard it was bad.
It's entertaining,
inspiring. But when you create a movie, and at this point, we do enough videos. You want to bring out the most, I guess, the dramatic elements. Him being a big, dumb, lumbering piece of clay that they mold and frame with love, and all of a sudden he becomes a great football player that goes drafted to the NFL. It's a fantastic story.
Yeah,
I mean, there's a lot of people who have these kinds of stories. Some people, and like Shaq. Shaq loves his father. His father kind of adopted him, but it wasn't
his stepfather. Is his
right.
real
His
father, based on what he says. Yeah, he has two dads, but yeah.
But that stepfather put a foot in his ass and said, "You're effing up your life and go take care of yourself." And Shaq says, without him, he wouldn't be playing NFL, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it goes weird in a weird way when they realize, okay, yeah, he made the NFL. How could we make money? And at 18 years old, they knew he was going to do something special, and they trapped him with that and never told him. And then to make that much money and not give him the cut, what is wrong with them? That's the biggest point. If you gave him a cut of the money, if you have all a family, then all five of you. But first of all, I don't know how the two kids. I don't remember.
Well, but that's lawyers just putting the kids in,
which is fine.
Which I actually don't have an issue with that. But it's more about how does he not get some of that? That's
go split it. All five of y'all get it, and then he doesn't do any of this, and he can still have his issues with the movie. Because I think as a man, You're like, wait a minute, I lived this life. I was there at 18. I wasn't as stupid. Yeah, you guys helped me out, but don't make me like was so helpless I couldn't figure it out. So yeah, he should definitely be upset. But at least he got the money. So like you did that, no money. It's effed up, man. So I would, I agree with Bobby. He definitely was groomed. The fact that he was able to had a chance to go to better schools and he went to Ole Miss is because he thought he was loved. He thought this is my people.
In the South, football is everything.
Right.
College sports is about to start. The SEC, the biggest
it's a big deal.
It is a big deal. Okay. Right. So I definitely feel, and a lot of people that have some means give to their alma maters or whatever.
Is a level of like it's like a religion.
Yes.
Right? Because the most wealthy people still will pour money into these schools just to win a game.
Yes.
Which I find fascinating, to be honest. But
it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild. But I did not expect this because I always thought that was just like a feel-good story. You see picture, you just see things, you see a movie,
Yeah.
But to have this come out now and seems like he's just finding out. Like that family has to, they're going to have to make a statement or do something, and they should.
Yeah, I mean, the first initial thing is, that's false. Then they got to probably lawyer up, and for her to be a motivational speaker and be this author, they better fix this quickly. Pay the dude off. Pay him what he owes this. Pay him off, and then I'm sure that usually when these suits settle, no one can talk about it. They, sign paperwork, hey, and move on from this. But you gotta pay him. It's not right. Like you said, this is his story, and you kind of tricked him, and that's fucked up. So hopefully they can get that together. I mean,